got a very good news piece for you guys. You want to hear it?
Sure.
I mean, if you have to.
I do have to. Look, I like news. I like looking at what movies are coming out, what games are coming out, updates and all of that, because I find it to be very interesting. But I think what's more interesting is when something gets canceled.
Ooh, what got canned?
I'll tell you two things that recently got canned that I think people are going to care about. Two of the Marvel Netflix shows have been canned.
Oh, right.
They're Marvel's Iron Fist and Luke Cage.
I can understand Iron Fist, but
Exactly.
Cage?
Yeah. People can understand Iron Fist because I'm going to just be 100% honest, say what everyone else is thinking. The show was hot garbage. I watched the first 2 episodes, and the entire time I'm watching this, I'm like, I hate everything that is going on, and I'm literally not endeared to any of these characters.
I feel like that's what I've heard from everyone who's watched it.
Yeah, no, it's a dumpster fire. It's a real dumpster fire.
Here's a funny thing about that. It hits up with the entire Mighty Whitey arc, where it's like he goes, learns all these martial arts, but yet he's worse at fighting than the guy who's blind.
That is true. That is true.
I mean, to be fair, that wasn't the blind guy Daredevil.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, that doesn't really count when the guy has superhuman sonar.
Silence yourself.
And he was also trained by arguably better ninjas. I mean, like, it's a debate. Like, he was trained by a guy named Stick, who works for a group of people called the Chaste. And not chaste as in, like, they've been chased, like chaste, like CHASTE.
Oh, I see.
Like chastity, I think. Which sucks for them, but, like, that's neither here nor there.
Okay, more time to be cool ninjas, right?
More time to be cool ninjas, yes. And Iron Fist was trained by the Kunlun, I think they're called. Or he was trained in Kunlun. By, like, monks or whatever. The point is that he's a boring white guy. Luke Cage is a little less understandable because I watched both seasons of Luke Cage, and they were really good.
And he is neither boring nor a white guy.
No. I think the actor who portrays him, I can't really think of his name at the moment, did an excellent job. And it was some very interesting storylines with only minorly annoying character arcs. Like that time where they shot him with alien bullets because that was literally the only way they could hurt him. And then, once he was shot with alien bullets, they can't heal him. You know why they can't heal him?
Why?
Because the metal is still in his chest and it's not going to heal unless it gets pulled out, but they can't pull it out.
Okay.
Because it's stuck in his muscles, which are like, super strong and bulletproof.
Yeah.
So that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, let's talk about cancellations for a moment. Cancellations for people can either be very good or very bad. It can be happy or sad. Some things will get canceled right away, and you'll think to yourself, wow, I wish that had stuck around a little bit to see where it would have gone. And some shows will be canceled never. They will go on and on and on until they are run into the ground.
Look like you, SpongeBob.
I was looking at One Piece.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Also true.
That not only that, but it's gone nowhere. I don't think
they punched God.
Yeah.
What?
Did they?
They punched God.
Are you sure you're not talking about Full Metal Alchemist?
No, there's actually a straight arc where they go up to like a sky island and punch God.
Do they?
Yes.
Was it God or like hard air quotes God?
Like, are you sure it wasn't just like
it's
a
considered God, but who knows?
Are you sure it wasn't just like a really big pirate? I think it might have just been a really tall
Pirate God?
Pirate God. Are you going to heaven?
No.
Oh, that would be funny. Pirate God. Anyways, there are some things that have been canceled or will be canceled that I find very interesting. So, for example, Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones might get canceled after its next season. Either it's going to be canceled after its 8th season or won't get an 8th season. I don't know which one is true. It's one of those things where it's like developmental limbo. So it could go either way at this point. Do either of you watch Game of Thrones?
No.
I mean, I do. Like I know my brother. He's a huge fan of it. Actually, he loves Game of Thrones.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool. I personally do not like Game of Thrones. I've never seen it, but I don't like the concept because, like, as a kid, when I was like 6 or 7, I grew up with a lot of D&D material. My dad, to this day, is still super into Dungeons and Dragons and fantasy. So I had so many better sources to gravitate towards than the fantasy world, except everything is horrible. And also there's more politics and family, boinking family. Not cool, in a not cool way.
What is in a cool way?
Now that I say that out loud,
You should have hit that button.
Well, no.
It's one of those things where, like, as soon as you said it, you're like, wow, that was a terrible
That
idea.
was a terrible
Like, wow,
idea
I
to say that.
invested too much thought into
I'm very sorry.
Full send.
That made so much sense until I actually said that.
Exactly.
As soon as those words touched the air, I realized they were awful.
Oh, that was terrible. I'm so sorry. It's like I had a terrible idea once. I think it was like chocolate ice cubes.
What?
My idea was basically, how we have ice cube molds
Sure.
and you put water in them
Uh-huh.
and you can put other liquids in them. What if you took that chocolate that you melt down into a liquid form and then you put them in ice cube trays and then you have solid blocks of chocolate?
That's not a horrible idea. That's
Well,
just
wouldn't the chocolate be
already
already solid
done.
before you melted it and then put it into the tray? Isn't that an unnecessary amount of work?
Yeah, no, you can see why this idea didn't take off. You can
Yeah.
understand why I never did anything
Yeah,
with
just
that.
eat the
I don't have a patent and I'm not super rich.
Bummer.
Yeah. But enough about me and that canceled idea. Let's get to more canceled ideas. Segue. Okay. So there's a lot of shows that have gotten canceled, and I think there's one that everybody hears about, but maybe doesn't really know about, and that's Firefly. Everyone hears about how Firefly got canceled in its prime before it really had a chance to take off. Right?
Get it? Take off. It's on a spaceship.
That was unintentional,
Yeah,
but I'm
like-
glad that it happened.
Like, I always hear about how Firefly got canceled before it's prime. Like whenever I go to like whether the nerdy media I choose, there's always some article about Firefly and it was blah blah blah
Right.
canceled.
Yeah, that's true. And it's not just movies and TV shows. A lot of cartoons have gotten canceled too, personally. If you look at the original Powerpuff Girls, that did not have like a full closure when it comes to an ending. And that's why they rebooted it. It was terrible. I think if you watched it, you can agree with that. Then there was Courage the Cowardly Dog. Again, it did not have a definitive ending, despite being one of the most popular and surreal cartoons of its decade.
Oh yeah, like I actually love Courage the Cowardly Dog, but however, it does like scare you.
It's mentally scarring. Like if I was a smaller child, I'd be like,
Perfect.
I would see this in my nightmares forever.
Yeah.
Let's see. Another show that got canceled and then afterwards got a really crummy reboot, Teen Titans, where it ended on a cliffhanger.
Actually, it kind of didn't. It wasn't so much, as I understand it, it wasn't so much a cliffhanger, just a really depressing ending.
No, I think it was sort of a cliffhanger. I mean, when I was watching the show when it was in circulation, I watched the one where they banded together all of the friends that they had made to defeat the Legion of Doom,
Uh-huh.
and then it ends with one crook like looting a bank, and they're like, it made a serious mistake, and then it zooms out to show all of the superheroes standing on one building just waiting for him.
Uh-huh.
And I thought that was the ending. And then it turns out I was wrong. And then I saw the one where Raven's dad, the interdimensional red demon, Trigon, tries to take over the world, and then he does it. And I thought, okay, this has definitely got to be the ending. And then it wasn't. And it's like, wow, they faked me out twice. And that's, ugh. Might be getting a resurgence, though.
Actually, yeah, like I watched Teen Titans Go to the movies with my friends, for the lulz or whatever.
Yes, for the lulz.
For the lulz.
Do it for the lulz.
And then at the end, after the credits, there was like a Teen Titans, like the original OG Titans, like, hey, we figured out a way to come back.
Yeah, there's been a lot of hoopla about that. I don't know if it's going to turn into anything serious, but who knows? Okay, so I think also something you don't think about is video games getting canceled. Like, that's not something you really think about because you don't really hear a lot about it, but there are definitely some great examples out there. I think the most famous example I could think of off the top of my head is PT or Silent Hills,
Oh yeah.
a demo trailer for a first-person horror game that not even was bad. It was good. A lot of people loved it, and then Konami, being the greedy, horrible company they are, went nope, and then sucked it up. It is nowhere to be found anymore.
And then didn't they fire Kojima like right after that?
They did. They did do that because they are the worst. Like EA is bad. They might be the worst. The worst.
Also, can we agree that Kojima should just make movies instead of games? Because that would be awesome.
That would be awesome, but I don't.
Standing.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
That could be really cool though.
Yeah, like that definitely like Metal Gear Solid and all those games would make some BA movies.
They would. They would make some really cool movies.
Yeah, like I started Metal Gear Solid 5 the other day, and the first like hour and a half was just a big cutscene.
Right.
It was a cool cutscene, neat things were happening, but I was like, when did I get to actually play this game?
Yeah. And then like they made a Metal Gear, but they called it a really long, stupid name, Sahelanthropus. And I'm like, it's a military weapon. Call it something simple. The last two Metal Gears were called Rex and Ray. It's short, it's sweet, it's to the point. That's it. We don't need your biblical nonsense.
I think actually, chronologically, Sahelanthropus came first, so maybe they gave it that name, and they're like, okay, the long name was a mistake.
Yeah, actually, that does make more sense. Okay, so here's one that I don't think is talk. Do you guys remember Lawbreakers?
No.
Okay,
Was that like the Gravity thing?
that's similar. Lawbreakers was a first-person hero-based multiplayer shooter similar to Overwatch. However, its whole spiel, I guess, was that it had high-speed action with low gravity, which encouraged dashing and flying around in class-based systems. It was created by Boss Key Productions, and it is one of the only 2 games that they've made. Can you guess why? Because they made a second game that also cashed in on the current trend, which was Radical Heights, which was another battle royale game that was terribly optimized and in early access for too long. And then the commercial failure of both games tanked them.
Wow.
And they closed, which is sad. But you know what? These things happen sometimes, even if it's sad.
Oh, so you know what canceled game I thought was going to be pretty cool and that it never happened?
What?
Do you remember Scalebound?
I do remember
I'm
Scalebound.
pretty sure that was going to be an Xbox exclusive, and like it seemed like it was going to be like a third-person RPG adventure type of thing. You got a dragon. You could play with your friends. It was going to be awesome.
Yes,
And
I
then
remember that.
Binned it.
They did. And it's sad because it was very similar to a game I played, or at least a demo of a game I had played a while ago, with another guy flying on top of a dragon. And I thought it was crazy. I don't remember what it was called. It was made by the same people who made Nier and Nier Automata.
I think I know what you're talking about.
You do know what I'm talking
I
about.
cannot think of what it's called.
It's
though.
like a red female dragon who telepathically like talks with her
I know
rider.
exactly
His name was Kaim, I think, but
I know exactly
I know
what
n-
you're talking about.
but we can't name it.
Yeah.
That's the problem. All right. Well,
That's upsetting.
look, we both have a lot of memories, but it's not our fault. That's funny because we're going to take a short break. And while we're doing that, I want you to listen to some music. This one is called Fault by Lung.
Oh, I see.
So don't go anywhere.
Scalebound, why did you not exist?
I don't know. What is the one I'm thinking of? PS2 Dragon game.
PS2 Dragon game. Bro, do you mean Spyro?
Let's see. Dragon Ball Z, Tenkaichi, 1, 2, 3,
if you go to-
Budokai, Dragon
No, it's
Quest
actually
8,
connected to
Infinite
Nier.
World, Dragon Rage. Is it Dragon Rage?
I don't think so. There were like three of the three games in that series.
Breath of Fire, Dragon Quarter.
No, if you go to Nier wiki.
Oh. It wasn't this.
But yeah, go to the Nier wiki because in one of the endings of that game,
Is it under
Drakengard.
Drakengard?
It's a little bit up to the on the right column. Or, sorry, left. Down, right. Drakengard.
That is exactly what it is. Ah, it feels so better now.
Yeah, because the ending of that game actually leads to the plague that makes all the humans die for Nier Automata.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, because the ending is like this weird goddess entity gets summoned, and you and your dragon kill her, and then but like she opens the portal to like Earth, which you follow her through, kill her in this weirdly in like this weird out of genre for the game like rhythm boss fight. And then she like starts crumbling apart, which was like this miasma that leads into the Nier series.
I love that you use the word miasma.
Yeah. But like, and then it like just starts spreading this disease that starts killing all the humans, which is the main conflict that started the original Nier game.
Yeah, isn't Nier was like, yo, humans and robots, we have to fight each other.
Not originally. That's Nier Automata.
I don't know. I thought it was the 2B was like a perfect android, and then she was like, I have to fight these other bad robots.
Yeah, that's Nier Automata.
That's thing strange. I need to kill it. Actual lie.
Yeah, I think that's Nier Automata. In Nier.
Nier is like a fantasy
Yeah,
game.
you're playing as like this dude who wants to save his daughter.
Right?
Fucking crap, dude. It's nice. Sick.
One time, me and my friends, just for some games, would just always like meet each other back and just say, yo, that's gay.
And then I'll answer.
It's all a matter of perspective.
That depends. It does depend on your perspective, on the way you see it. It's either it depends on the stage. Like if you're looking at a trap and you don't know it's a guy and it has features that you admire,
I think
feminine,
it's
like,
romantically,
that's okay.
I think it's romantically heterosexual, but sexually gay. Like sexually homosexual. It's romantically like even if romantic feelings about like someone's never blah.
I personally don't give a shit. I don't think I do, at least.
What do you mean by don't give a shit? Like, do you not care for other people's sexual orientations?
I
Do you mean it like in the sense of it doesn't matter what they do because it's their life?
well that, and also personally, I think I identify as the one where it's like I don't really care. I like emotional attachments first and foremost. The people if I had strong romantic attachments to are the ones that I got to know first, and I'm like, oh, we're good friends. I want to do this. I've never really looked at someone and then first let's be like, I have to get to know them.
My life is miserable. Well,
Like we're
on my
like
show,
other
I
people stuff.
What? Awesome intro. My life is miserable. Let's talk about something else.
That was pretty good.
I'll be serving
What about
piping
people's
hot tea
sexuality?
on
Like,
Lucky Jacobs
I
on the
don't
Show. Only on WMYL every
It's
Tuesday
not
at
my
5.
business.
Let's talk about it.
I don't care about people's sexual orientation / whatever.
Yes,
What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, after Dragon Guard, after you kill the like goddess thing, and the miasma starts to destroy humanity, you flat out get blown up by fighter jets.
because it's like you can fight like wizard people.
You can fight magic with magic, but you can't fight fighter jets. So like your character and the dragon are like, we did it! We saved the universe! What is this place? Why are all these things so weird? Fighter jets, target acquired. You like a straight up fucking blown by a single missile, that's the end of the game.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh,
And it's like this ultra secret ending, you gotta do all this stupid junk to do. And then you just get blocked off.
I just imagine like if that game came out during like the achievement / trophy era of games, it would just be what were you expecting?
But no, there's in Nier Automata, there's actually an ending you can get by eating a fish. Because fishing is something you can do just for fun to pass the time. And if
Right.
you eat a fish, you're an android. Eating a fish fucks you up. That ending is like, M2B ate that fish. And she thought it was pretty good. And then she fucking died because it clogged up all of her delicate systems and she couldn't function anymore. What a shame. Like, that's the ending you get.
Like really?
Like, there are endings A through Z. I think that one is Z.
No, I just mean
You die.
I was gonna say, really? Like, you worked on giving her a finely sculpted Lolita butt? You can't just, I don't know, give her like a stomach. Oh, sweet Goblin Slayer. What's going on here? Oh, I've got the original one of that one. All right.
Hey, Goblin Slayer, how about you slay this pussy? Is that a type of goblin? I just fucking love that shit. I like how.
Do you know what the original one of that is?
What?
The original is this one from like Resident Evil 4. At least I think this is the original, where it's like, if you look here, it's like, hey Leon, want to have lots of unprotected sex? And then it's like, with me, and then it's like, it'll be good, and then he's like, no way, man. Like, see that? I love that, honestly. Like, who thought of this? And also just that face. Look at that face.
I think probably I think what I like about Goblin Slayer is the way I described it to my friend was it's sticking a hand into a bucket of boiling lava. Then you eventually decrease the temperature until it's like you stick it into
That's a death. That appears to be a death claw.
that has big old titties.
I think they're called tickle bitties.
That's a huge rifle we got there.
Wow. There's a lot there's a lot to unpack.
I just don't. I need a shower.
I also need a shower. I'll take 2.
I need a shower.
Take 2, they're small.
What else my kind of discussed with my friend about Goblin Slayer was, yeah, because he read Goblin Slayer starts to watch it. He's like, yo, describe how you felt about it. I'm like,
Imagine the Doom Slayer, but with goblins.
Yeah, but how I describe how I felt about it, like I said, like how I felt about it was, imagine sticking your hand into lava, then taking that hand out, singing into decreasingly less hot substances until you reach water that is noticeably hot. That is pretty much what Goblin Slayer is.
That's true.
It is very like it's reverse boiling frog scenario.
So I have a question.
Yes.
Have you? So in just Pokemon, do you know Quagsire?
I am familiar
What?
with Yeah, I know Quagsire.
Okay, so there's an anime.
Yeah, Quagsire.
Hey,
It's the evolved form of the little stupid thing with the antler. Wooper. Yeah.
Okay, so there's an anime that's airing this season where one of the characters is a fucking fluffy Quagsire.
That's very interesting. Do you want to know that there's a Nintendo anime?
Wait, just about Nintendo?
No. Like, it's an unofficial Nintendo anime.
Wait.
Well,
Hold
so if
on.
you're curious about what that thing I described looks like, I can tell you what it is.
Right, hold on.
Wait, hold on. Are you talking about the one anime where Sonic the Hedgehog is a human and he's got to go fast in order to fight against the Nintendo Kingdom? That's an oppressive, tyrannical, horrible thing.
That is 100% what I am talking about.
Oh my god. My friend told me about that once. I'm like, yeah, I'm never gonna watch that or touch that mistake.
So someone just take a different anime and just make it stupid, just up over it?
I have no idea. But just look at some of these names, though. Segua, Nintendo. They're categorized by red and blue.
That's Sonic.
That's Sonic. That's Roy, probably.
That's more.
That's what I said.
So is Roy.
Wiggy. His name is Gear. And that was Mario. His name is Marcus. And this is Gear, Sonic's friend, who dies right at the beginning. His name is Till.
So Tails dies.
Till dies right at the beginning, and that encourages.
Tails straight up comes with
The only sad part about it is that
That's
there's anime fan service, and also it's 3 episodes long.
Wait,
Wow.
It's 3 episodes long.
You know, I read
every time there's
Rosio and
That's
Vampire.
no good.
Actually, like, are you guys familiar with the manga or anime Rosio Vampire?
I know that it exists.
Well, in it, like, there's at one point where the main character gets accidentally charmed by this succubus girl. The succubus girl doesn't want to charm him. She wants him to fall in love with him for
Naturally.
naturally. So she's like, oh shit, fuck do I do? And she's like, wait a second, I'll do platonic things with him. So of course she like jokes around at the beginning. She's like, hey, do you want dinner, a bath, or meat? And this immediate reaction, dinner. This made me think, was he hungry at the time? Because
Yeah, hungry for you know.
no.
I think how you just went.
You know.
For Parmesan cheese.
I can see
For pudding. It's like she's like trying to catch herself because it's like not in her. It's like not in her nature. And then she's like, "Hey, do you want a fun times?"
like she actually loves the thing about like succubi in this universe is if they fall in love with someone and that person dies, they die too.
Oh, that sucks. It seems like super unfair.
I know, right? You're a demon that invokes lust in men and other creatures.
Right. Okay, wait. Here's the coolest scene from it, according to this other person. So you have the Nintendo territory, and then shit gets blown up.
What's this?
Guess who that is?
That? Nothing. No. Zelda? Link?
Yeah, he's throwing like World War II style grenades at people.
Oh, Stone had
The potato mashers.
Is this Link?
This is Lunk. And then Mario shows up, riding a dinosaur,
That is
jumps up, ready.
Does he just destroy the whole ship?
I don't know, does
Oh.
I hope you like that bit, because it's literally the only time you're going to get to see them in the entire 3 episodes. Look at his mustache.
Jesus Christ, that's some Stalin shit right there.
Yeah. Forget Stalin. That's Nietzsche level mustache.
That is Nietzsche on mustache.
Have you seen Nietzsche, by the way?
No.
Spelled it right.
Nice.
Eat a dick. Nietzzsche. Yeah, that's how you spell Nietzsche.
Oh wow, yeah.
Look at that mustache.
Oh yeah, and for the Fluffy Quagsire, that anime is called Jingei-san no Yome.
That
Yeah.
does sound interesting.
Yeah, but also
Like, you need to see the Fluffy Quagsire though. It's amazing.
yeah, but also when I was like, I text my friend like, yo, why do we go for dinner when under the influence of a succubus? You'd imagine that someone under the influence of a succubus would immediately go to sex, but no, he went to dinner, which made me think about something. Is he just? Based upon the human hierarchy of needs by Maslow hierarchy of needs, is food more important than sex to survival of the individual? To survive the individual, yes, food is more important. For survival of the species, sex is more important. However, what if you're offered sex by a member who's not of your species?
We've got a minute and a half, if you're okay with that.
Yeah. You're succubus. Would you just go like, oh, would you naturally recognize this person is not a member of your species? Like, oh yeah, good.
I don't know. Like, honestly, if we're 100% honest with ourselves, we all have that one thing that we're like, this is not in our species. But if this fantasy creature came up to me, I'd try. We all do. We all do. You can't deny it.
Jesus.
What?
That's just funny. We all do.
We do.
We all want to put our pee-pee into that.
Not even one specific thing. We all have different things.
Earlier, when you were talking about Stalin, that reminds me, when I was at Late Night earlier, I was talking to this one friend of mine, and she was like, okay, so why is cider awesome, but apple juice is bad? I'm like, the brain is the same thing. Why don't you like both, you fascist? And she's like, what? And I'm like, I don't know what it's
Nice.
intelligent to say, so I said that instead.
Well, apple juice is just less concentrated cider. That's literally all it is.
Okay, so
And cider is just the whole apple just squeezed.
That's
You
true.
gotta get them good squeezes out the
Give it a
apple.
little squeeze, Mr. Squidward.
Have a bowl, Mr.
Doesn't even like come
Squidward.
back on that. You gotta get the squeezes out the apple.
And you're listening to WNYO on 88.9 FM, Oswego, New York. This is Liquor Radio, your music, your way. This is Will's Fantasy Hour, and I am still your host, DJ William. Welcome, everybody, and it's super nice to talk to you all out here. My co-host seemed to be laughing about something. Would you like to share with the class, gentlemen?
Just like we were joking about before we came back. No worries.
Oh, just how you gotta get one of them squeezes.
You just gotta squeeze the whole
You just gotta
apple.
squeeze the whole apple.
We're talking about how to make apple cider.
Yes,
Exactly.
that's how you make apple cider. Just gotta squeeze the whole apple, and then you put it in a jar, and then you let it ferment.
Ah.
Apples-
That's what make hard apple cider.
Yes, the best kind of cider, according to people who are of age. Anyways, I think it's time to do a segment that I haven't really done on the show because I've been preoccupied with other things.
Oh.
So, gentlemen, it's not a game,
Okay.
just in case you're curious.
okay, my
I'm
hand
not
still
putting-
hurts.
Oh, really? Still?
No.
Oh, good.
I was
I was gonna
actually
say,
worried. 'cause
I was also concerned.
your hand was,
Anyways,
like, swollen last week.
As you see, it's not swollen.
Cool. Anyways, so I am a huge fan of storytelling, lore, and just random useless information about games.
Okay.
So I could not tell you half of the capitals of the United States, but I can tell you at least one fun fact about all of the 129 various champions in League of Legends.
Sounds
Which-
about right.
This sounds about right. So we're going to do a segment now, which I like to call Will's Story Time. A segment in which I'm going to tell you all a story, either from mythology, from real world experiences, from actual books, or from my own personal experiences. I think I already said that one.
You said real world experiences, not yours.
Oh,
So
all right.
apparently not.
all right. Let's begin. So here's the sitch.
Spin us a yarn.
I will spin you that yarn. Anyways, so I've said this before, or at least maybe to other people. I do not like found footage films, or at least most of them, especially not ones from like the first person perspective, because I just don't find them that interesting.
So you're not a fan of say the Blair Witch Project?
It's okay.
Fair enough.
But like Cloverfield, it's people running around being all startled. Unfriended, I saw that. I was hoping to watch some really bad kids get murdered, and I kind of got it, but also kind of didn't. So I'm just really dissatisfied with the whole
ending
experience.
Kind of was bad, if you ask me. Like if they just left it as it was, like everyone's like was hating on the character,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't need that jump scare.
They did not. They did not. Also, they broke the format with the last one, which also doesn't help. Anyways, I think I've boiled it down to the reason why I don't like this. It's because found footage films are just worse versions of first-person horror games, which
That
is a more
is
engrossing
fair.
experience with better characters. And we can put ourselves into the shoes and be properly spooked. Right?
Spookle.
Everyone agrees with the spookling.
Yes.
And
Gotta
no,
get them spookles.
yep, get the spookles. It's the spookliest time of the year. You
Gotta
gotta,
squeeze all the spookles
gotta
out.
squeeze
Give it
all
a
the
squeeze, it's a
spookles.
good word. Get
Oh.
the spookles all out.
Get all the spookles out. It's high in calcium.
Consume your calcium for your bones.
Prepare. You must make your skeleton strong for the skeleton wars. The skeleton wars.
I lost my arm in the skeleton war.
I didn't have the calcium. My arm broke in mid-battle.
Sorry, like some milk. Ah, yes.
Anyway, we're not here to talk about skeleton wars.
When the necromancer offers you a tall glass of milk instead of fighting you, and just as he walks away, you hear him whisper, "Soon."
But we're not here to talk about warlocks or calcium or the terrible skeleton wars that killed thousands of corpses. No. Today we're going to talk about two of what I believe to be the most iconic first-person horror games ever. Number one, Amnesia: The Dark Descent. And number two, Layers of Fear. Now, I'll give a short synopsis. I assume you're both familiar with Layers of Fear.
Yeah.
You-
I'm actually more familiar with layers with Amnesia, that less than Layers of Fear.
Okay, then we'll go with Amnesia first. So, for those of you who don't know, Amnesia is a first-person horror game set in a 18th century Bolivian? No, Prussian. That's the word. It's a Prussian castle because you are Daniel. No last name given, just Daniel. And you went on an expedition with a group, and you were collapsed in a tomb where you found a spooky glowing orb on a pedestal. So naturally, your first thought is, I'm going to take this orb back home and study it.
That sounds safe.
Oh, yeah, it's totally safe because when you go back home to London and then you ask people about the orb, they mysteriously die. And then you check in with your expedition team, which you left on the tomb site, and they're all dead too. Oopsie poopsies.
That sounds like a weird coincidence having nothing to do with the clearly magic orb you have.
I know, it's totally a
What are you
coincidence.
talking about? It's purple.
Yeah,
Everything's purple is safe.
yeah, that's true. Afterwards, you receive a letter from Baron Alexander. Apparently, they were not fond of last names in the 19th century. And he says, dude, come to my super sweet Prussian castle and I'll totally keep you safe from whatever is killing people. So apparently this orb has a shadowy guardian surrounding it called the Shadow. Very original. It's killing everyone around Daniel because he took the orb and the orb wants him back. Instead of, directly killing him and taking it back. I assume it has something to do with the orb is one energy and then the shadow is another and they directly oppose each other and blah, blah, blah. It's not very important. Anyways, the Baron Alexander has an idea and he has a way of repelling the shadow creature using material known as vitae. And where can you find this mythical mineral known as vitae?
I assume from the blood of humans.
The blood of
I was
humans.
going to say the blood of children.
It is it's the blood of humans during high stress situations to keep the spirits away and hopefully one day perform a banishing ritual. To do this, you and the Baron kidnap some folks and then you torture them as you do and then squeeze gotta squeeze out the vitae. And then you give them amnesia juice to make them totally forget that they were being tortured. Which, I don't know. I feel like even if you forget that you were being, even if you remember that you're being tortured, it's still gonna be pretty darn stressful, honestly. So I feel like they didn't have to do that. Then after doing this for a week, maybe 2, time is a little bit off in this game. You find out that Alexander has maybe been lying to you. And
How could he possibly?
he may want to use the orb for his own evil ulterior motives, which, who saw that coming? I mean, seriously.
I mean, all that fun squeezing blood out of innocent people.
I know. So you, racked with guilt over, everything you've done, take a sip of that good old amnesia Gatorade bottle, and then you leave yourself one note, which is find and kill Alexander.
You can't be any more specific.
Yeah, find and kill Alexander. That's it. Because anything more and you risk remembering the horrible things that you've done. Which you do anyway, because it's a first-person horror game wherein you learn the story through I believe it was called contextual storytelling, where there's just books and notes everywhere and you have to go out looking for them and then you have to read them and then that's how you learn about things.
Also,
Sorry, that just reminded me of this one thing about a Dark Souls, because I think Dark Souls is sort of like that too.
Mhm. Yeah, that's
every
also true.
item basically has lore to it.
Yeah, but this one, it's wow, Dark Souls low is so perplexing. You have to actually search for it. They call him Big Hat Jones because he has a big hat. His name is Jones.
Oh, I remember that.
I think
Yeah,
it's
that's
Cat
true.
Logan.
That is true.
All
All right.
The way you were saying that you got to, torture the good stressed blood out of the people, and we're talking about squeezing it out. So basically, what you're saying is this vitae nonsense is just human cider.
Yeah, I guess it is just human cider. It's magic human cider. Neato. There's also some other stuff about him being an interdimension, the orb being like an interdimensional artifact, and Alexander maybe being like a demon or something. That's neither here nor there. That's not important. The important thing is all the blood and nonsense. The second game is called Layers of Fear. And they're not talking about layers like underground. They're talking about layers like onions. Onion layers.
Or like cakes or parfaits.
Or cakes or parfaits.
Or
Everyone likes
ogres.
Everyone does. I do not personally like parfait. Just
Leave.
because
Everyone
A lot
at
of
this whole dang
times-
planet likes parfaits.
it's yogurt. And I'm not a fan of yogurt.
Okay, that's fair.
Because it's just like cream with bits in it.
Cream with bits.
Yeah, cream with bits. And an unsatisfying cream with bits.
Cream of bits.
Ew, I just realized the implications of cream with bits now.
It's like a really bad caption. Cream with bits.
Ooh, or Shoots and Ladders. Detective Ladders is a cop who does everything by the book. He's on the straight and narrow. Detective Shoots plays by his own rules. Together they are partners, Shoots and Ladders.
Jeez.
This fall on Fox.
The thing is, though, I would watch that.
Yeah.
I would not.
I would. Well, if you want to watch a cop drama, there's like The Rookie with Nathan Fillion, which I get. He's old and he's a cop, and that's like the whole deal. But he's also Nathan Fillion, so he's like weirdly attractive.
Okay.
Okay, bro.
What?
No,
what?
bro.
He's got nicely coiffed hair. Have you seen his hair?
No.
It's
I
coiffed.
legitimately
It's
have
well
no idea what you're
coiffed.
talking about.
It looks nice. Anyways, let's move on. Layers of Fear. It's a game that came out afterwards and is also a first-person horror game, which is about you wandering around a mysterious old place that's probably filled with stuff that's either going to kill you or is super cursed and driving you insane. But this time, it's the 18th century, and you are a no-named famous painter. I'm serious. I looked over everything. The character has no name whatsoever.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's a stormy evening because this is, of course, England, and you have just gotten back from court. Why were you at court? Shut up. We're not there yet. You have decided that now would be a good time to work on your masterpiece painting. Which, I mean, yeah, your house is empty. And it's a stormy night. Let's work on that painting. You move around your house looking for, stuff to help you finish your painting. And, yes, Paul? You moved that closer like you had something to say.
No, I just wanted to cut you off for no reason.
Well
And
done.
It worked.
It is done. Anyway, you are an ambitious painter, and you had a wife, who is a pianist. Just a really good one.
Okay.
She's really good at that pianist stuff. And- Pianing. Yeah. That piano, she could. Pianist, that's what I said.
Enunciate.
I said
for the love of God.
I said pianist. Like,
I don't know what you heard.
yeah, I don't know what you heard. Anyway, so she was apparently like the subject of a lot of his paintings, and then they had a child, and then he neglected that child because he was too enraptured with his painting. And if there's one thing I know, it's that every single artist has to suffer. Every single one. No question. If their life is fine when they become an artist, something bad will happen and they will suffer immensely.
Huh.
Like, think of all the great artists. All of them.
I mean, yeah, like Beethoven actually, yo, suffering is important.
Yes, exactly. And all of the artists I know, like, there's major suffering, like health problems and physical altercations. But there's the minor problem, which plagues all art students, which is they're broke and can't find a job.
Yeah.
Isn't that the plight of most artists these days? I mean,
Yeah.
seriously. Your problem, besides possibly having schizophrenia, is that you're an alcoholic.
And you also are missing a leg.
Are you missing? Oh, yeah, I think you are missing a leg.
What?
Yeah, that's actually how you lost your leg in like a department store fire or something.
I think, oh, yeah, that's right.
And
You do walk around with this bit of this gape.
Yeah, and that's why they.
So
that's how they
we're
explain you
one
always.
like an alcoholic, possible schizophrenic.
Yeah.
That's how they explain you walking slowly the whole game too, because there's a letter you find right at the beginning where it's like, "Oh, sorry, we measured you wrong, and your prosthetic leg is all messed up. We'll
Oh,
fix it next week." And that's why you hobble along instead of running from the scary stuff.
Yes. Also, your schizophrenia makes you imagine rats.
Rats.
And in England too, where imagining rats is no good because
Especially
like
18th
300 years
London.
ago, the rats killed families, like everyone, like a lot of people. Technically, it was the ticks on the rats, but like people associate with the rats.
Who would win? Literally all of Europe or some sick rat?
Ain't that the truth?
Does the sick rat have ticks? Also, how much prep time did it have?
All right.
Silence yourself.
So, besides being alcoholic and neglecting your family, apparently you also have that problem where it's like, artist block. I don't feel the muses or the talent anymore.
I need flesh.
I need human blood.
I need human blood.
Not really.
But it starts off a little more simply than that, where you're taking jobs from like paint for this children's book, and then it's like violent, gory horribleness that like would scare a child, like seriously. And then there was like, what? And it's like it's bad. And then your wife, obviously after being neglected and you having problems, can't take it anymore and decides art is your curse. And so she takes all of your paintings, puts them in one room, and lights them on fire. Including like the one painting that you were really proud of. You know the one. You know when you have that one thing that you're really proud of. And then you beat your wife. You're not proud of it, but you do it because you're drunk and also she made you angry. And then she obviously leaves with your child.
You're not proud of it, he says.
What? You're not.
I think it's just the way you worded that. Like, you're not proud of it. Well, you know. These
so-
things happen.
I need to add that sort of brevity and tone to it because if not, I'm going to drag the entire audience down, and that's no good. Anyways, so your wife leaves with your kid, and then you're depressed, and then like I'm going to say about a month later, you get a phone call because there was a fire, and your wife was critically injured in it, but thankfully your daughter she's okay. She's good. She might be mentally scarred, but she's good.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, fun. So your wife is critically injured. Her skin is burned, and she's in a wheelchair because her legs got caught in the fire, and then it burned away like the muscle. 3rd-degree burns will do that. Anyway, she was in a wheelchair. He took her back home, and then it looks like things are going to be good. You know, the dynamic has changed. He's taking care of her and the kids, and maybe things are going to be okay. But no, because you're still drinking. And then you look at your burn victim of a wife and then decide, she's ugly.
What if I skin her and make her a canvas?
Also, close, really close.
You think I'm kidding, Paul?
So yeah, after a while, she gets her ability back to walk, and then she felt even more neglected because now you're not only ignoring her because you're an artist, but you're ignoring her because she's ugly. And then you have another one of your drunken rampages. Then your wife decided, I'm out. I'm out. Out. She killed her. She killed herself. That's what I'm saying.
I was gonna say the listeners
She
can't see
didn't
that
leave.
cutting motion you did across your wrist there.
I realized that after I did it. Yeah, that's bad. Yeah, she killed herself.
Oh.
Yeah. So now, obviously, after your wife killed herself and you've had several fits, the court took your kids. And now, as you're exploring the mansion, you're getting things to finish up your final like magnum opus, like your greatest painting ever. And you know what you need for that? Human skin, a severed finger,
Blood.
some blood,
Some hair to make a
some
bra.
hair, and an eyeball. But not just any skin, blood, hair, finger, and eyeball. They're the skin, blood, hair, finger, and eyeball of your wife.
Normal artist thing.
Exactly, normal artist thing. 'Cause you're crazy.
Artist, and you need to make your wife beautiful again.
Also one-legged.
And one-legged, yeah. So yeah, you harvested her body parts and then decided to use it to make a picture. And then this horrifying picture. I would just like to add, this game is horrifying. Everything is dark. Books fly everywhere. Paintings are twisted and melted. The sound distorts. There's just rats everywhere, and you can't tell if they're real or imaginary.
And there's a lot of times when like the just whole map just bends around you.
It's one of those things where you walk into a hallway and then it's like an empty room with like one door in it, and then you turn around and then the door is gone. It's one of those. Just messes with your mind. And then you paint this horrifying picture, by the way, as you keep collecting the ingredients that looks like someone threw up on it, but then people kept throwing up on it, and it adds just layers of horribleness. And then apparently there are 3 different endings. The bad ending is the one where after you finish it, it's a self-portrait of your wife, and she's very beautiful. And then
That's the bad ending.
let me finish. It's a beautiful portrait of your wife, but after like 3 seconds of looking at it and being satisfied with yourself, her ghost comes up to haunt you, and it's like, brah, you're bad at art. And then the picture distorts and turns ugly, and then you're like, oh, I've wasted my life. I hate this painting. And then you open up a room, and then you can see it is filled, like piled high with like the same portrait, just minorly different each time. So it's implied that you have been making this portrait over and over and over and over and over and over again in an endless horror cycle. So that's fun.
Huh.
After that, you have the option of either A, walking into the room where all of the portraits are and trying to, just put it there and being sad about everything. Or you can go back to your studio, reveal a blank canvas, and working on the next painting, and then the screen fades to black and it's over, implying, hey, you're going to keep this horrible cycle going forever. Forever, man. There is a more neutral ending where instead of painting it just your wife, you paint a picture of her and your kid, and then you look at it, and then you're like, oh my God, what have I done? I am a horrible human being and a monster, and I'm going to finish what my wife started. And then you pull out an oil lamp, and then you set the entire house on fire, and you burn inside of it.
Yeah.
That's how
A bit of a Holocaust, eh?
a bit of it. And then there's one final ending where instead of painting all of them, you paint a picture of yourself. And then you're satisfied, and then you hang it in your room upstairs, and then in the next shot, you see his painting on display in a museum with Victorian artists. Which is not necessarily a good ending, because it leaves a lot of open-ended questions, like, is this real? Is this all in your head? Also, everyone you know and loved is gone, so you're probably still pretty sad.
That's probably why they made the DLC.
That's probably is why they made the DLC. Thank you, Ben. Speaking of which, they made a DLC.
I think it's called the Inheritance DLC.
It is
Yeah.
called the Inheritance DLC.
You play
That's
as
the
your-
one where your daughter comes back to your home after many years and then looks about your stuff and is like, wow, my childhood was super messed up. And then there are also 3 endings, which either revolve around her accepting that you as a painter were flawed but trying to do your best. And then it's like she accepts it, and then she takes a portrait from the house of that you made of her, and then she brings it to her house and shows it to her daughter, and then it's implied that the cycle is going to continue all over again with the parent and the child and the art and the neglect and the pain. Then there's the bad ending where you're fed up with it, obviously, because all the bad stuff happened, and you try to burn the house down, but you fail because you get trapped under some rubble as a fire breaks out and you die,
Oof.
which is unfair, but it's like the entire family is cursed, so whatever. And then there's one final ending where it's like there's one final like secret portrait which he hung away in the house, and if you can find it, it's like it's a canvas that shows like the first layer of the painting that you, the first artist, were trying to make, and then it's like you're continuing the painting, this insanity painting.
Weird.
Yeah, it's a really weird game. But all of that, describing it really doesn't do it justice. When you actually sit down and you play it and you're in the atmosphere, it's so much better than any crummy first-person horror movie could ever be. Any found footage.
Oh yeah, that's what we were talking about.
That is what we were talking about, because it has a way of messing with your head, and it has really great environmental storytelling where you look for all the clues you want, you put things together at your own pace. And I think that's really cool. Okay, so that's the end of our show for the night. Thank you all for tuning in, and join us next week for the final spooktacular Spooktober Halloween radio show. Promise to have a lot of good stuff going on. So see you next week. Have a good night, and remember, stay fantastic.
This is Batman. You're listening to WNYO 88.9 FM, Oswego, New York.